that being and the gods are good, a general response to the Gnostic animosity towards nature. All that is good is, all that is evil is not. The Eternal One created the Eternal Son, because the Eternal One is being, and being is necessarily experienced. Experience necessarily requires distinction, and thus, since the Eternal One is fully singular within itself, it must emanate, so that it has something outside itself to be experienced by. Thus, the Eternal Son necessarily exists, distinct from the One, below the One, of the substance of the One, and interacting with the One, with these principles contained within him. The Son then must enact his own nature, which is to emanate. As the One's nature is to be, and the One perfectly enacts being, so that it is pure being, the Son, whose nature is emanation, enacts pure emanation. But since the Eternal Son is, within himself, distinct, containing multiple distinguishable principles, his emanations are too distinct. The rays of emanation, each being distinct, having their own characters, and thus some may overlap and merge, while others may remain distinct, and thus must diverge. Because of this divergence, there must be absence or emptiness between these distinct emanations of the Eternal Son. These distinct emanations, of course, are the intellectual gods, the gods in contact with the soul. Since the intellectual gods are surrounded by an emptiness, they are necessarily limited. Since they are of the same substance as being and emanation, they must emanate. When they emanate, since they are necessarily limited, their manifestations will be necessarily limited. Since they are necessarily lower than their emanator, their emanations will be lower than themselves and thus more limited. The emanations of the intellectual gods would be the material world. The world soul is the interaction between the intellectual gods and the material. It is by this that life and order can manifest in the material world. The world soul is thus divided among the distinct material things. The world is imperfect because the world is limited. The world is limited because it is emanated from beings that are not pure being itself, but the reflections of its reflection. Reflections of a reflection that exists because the One must create him by its nature. But the One is good, the Son is good, the gods are good, and matter is good. For they are all of the same perfect substance as the One most divine. Instead, what we call evil is merely the incompleteness of substance, necessary to all things that are not pure being. Thus, all evil is truly the result of this divine substance interacting with and being within the realm of absence. For the evil feelings, the feelings that cause suffering of pain and anger and fear and sadness, are all the attempts of substance to protect itself from absence. For when these feelings are proper, they cause one to either destroy, remove, avoid, or correct that which brings them towards absence. And that which brings one towards absence only exists because of the limitations of both the experiencer of these feelings and the cause of these feelings. Thus, there is no room for some evil demiurge of a different substance than the One. All the emanations are consequences of the pure goodness of pure being, the Eternal One.